What is going on, awesome peeps, and welcome back to another episode of Electrified Reviews. Today we are reviewing the Urban Machina Evolv Pro R, and let me just say, you better buckle up because with a 44 mile per hour top speed, this is one dangerously fast electric scooter. The Evolv Pro R is solidly built from top to bottom with absolutely zero rattling, shimmies, or shakes while nearing that ludicrous 44 mile per hour top speed. The Evolv Pro R is built like a tank, but somehow also performs like a Formula 1 race car. We reviewed a few other similarly designed electric scooters, but the Evolv Pro R easily wins the title of best in class, and with an eye-watering starting price of $2,481 and randomly 88 cents USD, honestly, it had better. Right, okay, let's dive into the specs. Pretty much every spec on the Evolv Pro R is impressive, but let's go ahead and start with the motors. We've got a hub motor in the front and rear wheel, each with a nominal output of 1200 watts and a peak output of 1500 watts for a combined total of 3000 peak watts of power. Yes, I said 3000 watts. That is power you can feel. These motors are so powerful, in fact, that there's almost no way to keep the front wheel from slipping a bit when you slam that throttle from a dead stop. The torque hits like a freight train off the line. Keep the throttle pinned, and the Evolv Pro R just keeps accelerating and accelerating and accelerating until you finally hit that terrifying top speed of 44 miles per hour. The Evolv Pro R's wheelbase and handlebar width are slightly shorter than some of its competitors, which does make it feel a little bit more squirrely, but it also makes it feel more nimble. This electric scooter is absolutely ideal for carving through slow-moving traffic on city streets or opening up the throttle on lonely straightaways. To power those monster motors, the Evolv Pro R has a 60-volt, 21-amp-hour battery with Samsung cells offering a max estimated range of 40 miles in the lowest setting. Crank up the power output though, and those motors are going to gulp those electrons in a hurry. Real-world range at max output, you can realistically expect 20 miles per charge, give or take maybe 5 miles, depending on rider weight, terrain, and environmental factors. And this is why we're hoping Urban Machina might offer an even higher capacity battery at some point in the future. The battery itself is stored inside the deck, keeping the center of gravity low and leaving the Evolv Pro R feeling very well balanced. There are 2 charging ports on the right side of the deck, which means if you have 2 chargers, you can charge it up twice as fast. The battery isn't hot swappable though, so even if you do have a spare, it would take some time to swap them out. The Evolv Pro R has a curb weight of nearly 80 pounds, which is comparable to other similar scooters, and it really doesn't feel half as heavy as it sounds when you're riding it. We've already talked about how beefy this ride is, but it's worth reiterating the overall build quality and the fit and finish. Look, in short, it's just superb, and that's an adjective you're going to want to hear when describing a ride that can hit 44 miles per hour. The last thing that you want at those speeds is a mechanical issue. The suspension here is also something to write home about, not because it's unique so much as it is just really high quality like everything else. Whatever Urban Machina did with their suspension, they did it right because it feels noticeably more responsive than its competitors. The suspension is also robust enough and the tires are grippy enough that the Evolv Pro R would even make a great off-road trailblazer. Another important aspect of the framed callout is the collar that keeps the handlebars locked in place. The collar locks tightly around the handlebars and is held in place by not one but 2 oversized quick-release levers that really cinch it down tight. This is a pretty critical feature because, again, we're looking at 44 mile per hour top speeds here, and it is absolutely imperative that the handlebars stay 100% locked in place no matter what you throw at it. When you are ready to fold the Evolv Pro R, however, it takes just a few seconds to unlatch the quick release levers, lift the collar, and fold down the handlebar stem. When you're ready to redeploy the handlebars, just lift them back up, drop the collar, and close those quick release levers back up. This might be the easiest and quickest folding system we've seen yet. The brakes on the Evolv Pro R are also excellent quality with dual hydraulic disc brakes and 140mm rotors in the front and rear wheels. The stopping power is almost as absurd as acceleration. Slam that front brake hard without properly shifting your weight and you are 100% going to flip over the handlebars. You have been warned. Wire management on the Evolv Pro R is great as well, with the bulk of the wires being internally routed through the frame. The few wires that are exposed are wrapped, leaving everything looking neat and organized and also minimizing the risk that a loose cable might get snagged. There are integrated lights on the Evolv Pro R, and while they do help illuminate the path a bit, they really serve as a way to just increase your visibility to others. If you plan on riding at night, you're probably going to want to get an aftermarket light with at least 2000 lumens of output. The display on the Evolv Pro R is a color LCD display that has all the pertinent information you could want, but honestly, it's not overly bright and it might be hard to see in direct sunlight. The same can be said for the independent voltage meter. That's a great piece of gear and it's the ideal way to see exactly how much juice is left in the battery, but it's just not very bright, and again, you might have trouble seeing that in direct sunlight. The ergonomic grips on the handlebars are not only comfortable, but they're also grippy. They have lockers on both ends, so there's really no way for them to slip around, which is great. On the left side of the handlebars, you've got a bell and a few buttons to toggle between single and dual motors and eco and power modes. You can also control output with a display by changing gears. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see those. At $2,481.88 USD, the Evolv Pro R is quite a bit more expensive than its competitors, but it's also quite a bit nicer. Every component here is expertly selected and tuned, and the amount of power that comes out of these motors is nothing short of unbelievable. The Evolv Pro R truly is a best-in-class electric scooter. Alright, awesome peeps, that's it for the review of the Urban Machina Evolv Pro R electric scooter, so let's take this machine out for a ride.